Hey, Seth Macy here. I just came from the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering panel, and this is absolutely the most hotly anticipated Magic the Gathering set maybe ever. I am fired up, and what better way to learn about it than to talk to some of the designers behind this amazing and exciting crossover. Let's go! Presented by the United States Air Force. All right, we are here with the world-famous Chocobo, talking about the Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy crossover that everyone is freaking out about. We have some questions for you guys. How exactly did this collaboration start?
All right, well, the good news is we have some answers. So it's such a natural collaboration, right? Like when you think about two titans in the gaming industry, right? They've been around for a long time, 30 plus years, making their respective games, Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy. It just goes hand in hand. And I think it's so awesome that we both have a lot of people on our team that love Final Fantasy, and there's a lot of people on their team that love Magic. So it was really a cross collaboration between both of us coming together and kind of realizing almost at the same time this would be an amazing fit for us to bring these two things together and collaborate on making the set. So a bunch of super fans in the house all working on this project at the same time.
Walk us through kind of what the process was of adapting a huge video game franchise to work in the rules and world of Magic.
Trying to fit 16 games into one game, that being Magic, we needed some way to make decisions, right? Because everyone has a favorite something, and that person's favorite, of course this should be in the set. It's my favorite. Like, yeah, get in line. We have so many other favorites. I have a favorite that I want on the set too, and they're gonna occupy the same slot. We only have so many cards. So we came up with a tier system to kind of help decide what's the thing that everyone would expect, right? Like a tier 1, a Chocobo, a Moogle. Like, it's the hallmark of the franchise. So we have to make space for that. Well, X% of the set will ensure that meets that criteria. Tier 2, a fan of a specific game would know what they're seeing. Oh, that's a really cool story beat or a side quest. I remember that dungeon if you're a fan of like 1 or 2 games. And then Tier 3 is like the deep cut where you're a super fan and you go like, no way, dude, they got that, no way, and like get that a moment. So we use that to help kind of make the decision. We looked at it per game, distilled down everything that we could remember, everything that we loved per game, outfitted those tiers, and that is where we started.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it sounds like a lot of work. That is just the beginning of all that. So I don't know if anyone wants to talk a little bit about design. Yeah.
So then using that tier system, you talked about the 16 games. I'm going to talk about Commander for a second. We have 4 Commander decks representing 6, 7, 10, and 14. We use that tier system to first pick the games, and then within those decks use the tier system to figure out what goes in them. You know, the characters you expect, the story moments you expect. But because they're 100-card decks, we got to go a little deeper. Like this is a super deep cut moment that fans are going to enjoy, they're going to remember from the game, but might not have room in the main set for example, which probably leads into Gavin's topic here.
Yeah, so for me, it was quite interesting because all the tier 1 stuff we're definitely going to have, right? Like for years since we announced this, people have been like, is there going to be a cloud in the set? And it's like, I sure hope so, you know? If there's not, we really messed up. But it was figuring out all the other details around, right? Because there's more characters in Final Fantasy than there are cards in the entire set. So we can't show off every single one. So a lot of the hardest decisions were actually around those kind of tier 2, tier 3, like, we're going to show this story moment or this story moment, this character or this character. And kind of what I aimed for is, you know, very few people have played all 16 Final Fantasy games. A lot of people have played 2 or 3 or maybe 4 games. And so I want those folks to be able to come in and see some stuff they recognize and know and love, find at least some story moments they enjoy, and at least one deep cut where they're like, ooh, it's so cool they got that moment in. And, you know, I've tried to get as many in as possible. Not every character made it, but hopefully you find something that's good for you.
What was the process around coming to the decision of how you're going to assign, you know, powers and adapt the characters from the video game into the Magic universe?
Yeah, you know, it's really tough because every character in Final Fantasy, like a good character, has so many different facets to them, right? Like there are 5 colors in Magic, each representing kind of a different ethos. And a good character could be any of those 5 colors at any given time. So what we often did was look for like a snapshot in that character's story of like, this is the moment we're pulling from. They are feeling this way. They're doing this thing right now. And that's what the card text does. Because also there's only so much room in a Magic card text box. So you have to be brief, especially if you want flavor text in there. So we couldn't capture every single element of every character on one card, but with some characters, we have multiple versions of them. For example, with Cloud, there's the main set Cloud, which is a mono white card, which shows off a moment in his story. There is the starter deck version, which is red-white, and then there is is the Commander deck version, which is red, white, and green. And I can let Daniel talk about that a little bit here in a second, but it kind of shows how we took a character and you see it through 3 different lenses at 3 different moments with similar, related, but different power sets.
Yeah, so that story moment capture is really what drives the commander decisions. You know, the colors of the deck, for Cloud example, is Naya. Well, the face commander has to be white, red, green. So naturally we had to find a story moment for him that was white, red, green, and that kind of applies to a lot of the characters there. But then some of the other characters you'll see in the deck, we needed to adapt them to the deck. Celes from Final Fantasy VI is a good one because everyone's asking me, well, why isn't she blue? She's kind of a blue character as a mage. Well, we're really capturing that moment where she's like lifting up after the World of Ruin. She's bold, she's daring, she's trying to get the gang back together, so she falls more in those Mardu colors at that point in time. And so we have to lean that direction with some of those characters as well.
One of the most interesting things about this entire project, it encapsulates Final Fantasy 1 through 16. So we're really taking 37 years of history, trying to hit on everyone's favorite characters, and then bringing those characters into the world of Magic through multiple different iterations for multiple different formats. So whether you're a fan of Final Fantasy coming into Magic or you're a fan of Magic learning Final Fantasy, we hope that, one, the breadth of products and the scale of content that we've put into the project speaks to you.
All right, there it is, guys. You've heard a lot about the thought processes and the creative processes that went into adapting Final Fantasy and Magic the Gathering. Those cards come out June 13th. If you could find them, they were very, very popular. For everything PAX East, for everything Magic and everything Final Fantasy, keep it right here on IGN.